Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now Anthony Joshua has uploaded a training video of him getting hit to the body by one of his trainers, and he was soaking up some punishment and obviously winging a few hooks over the top as he was going. Now obviously Anthony Joshua is toughening up that body to prepare for taking body shots against Kubrat Pulev. Now Anthony Joshua does look good aesthetically, but it's not just about that. It's not just about having good looking abs or anything like that. What it is about is having a thick trunk. So if you think about it, the thinner you are around your waist and your trunk, then the punches will take more of an effect when they land. So it is important that you harden up that part of your body, especially when you are going to be taking punches from someone who weighs plus 200 pounds. Anyone who weighs in over 200 pounds can punch. Whether they have a big knockout ratio or not, still, someone with that kind of weight behind them will cause a big effect if you are not ready to be taking those kind of punches. So while someone can look good aesthetically, that doesn't necessarily mean they have the punch resistance to the body, because ultimately it's not just about that. I mean, look at Andy Ruiz Jr. He's never been hurt to the body, yet he's kind of chubby. I mean, he's not got abs or anything like that, but he hasn't been hurt to the body because he hardens up that part of his body. Same as Tyson Fury. Bit chubby maybe around the stomach, but ultimately he doesn't regularly get hurt with body shots. So it's not just about how you look, it's about toughening up those different parts of your body to make sure that they are ready to be taking punches. Now, the one thing that you cannot train, the one thing you cannot put more muscle on is your chin. So ultimately that part of your body is one thing that you can either take a punch or you cannot, or you get better at being able to take those kind of punches. And the way you can do that is your positioning, your stance, making sure you don't come over your front foot when you are throwing your punches. I mean, put it this way, Tyson Fury, his punch resistance has gone through the roof, but before it wasn't like that. He'd been knocked down at domestic level, sometimes even lower than that. He was knocked down by a cruiserweight, Steve Cunningham, knocked down completely, one shot, bang, on the floor, straight down. And Steve Cunningham wasn't even a heavyweight, he was a cruiserweight, and not just a cruiserweight, but he didn't have a high knockout ratio, so ultimately Tyson Fury got knocked down by someone who apparently cannot punch very hard, but then later on in Tyson Fury's career, he got dropped by apparently the biggest and heaviest hitter in heavyweight history. That can be heavily disputed, but ultimately he was knocked down by a heavyweight who has an extremely high knockout ratio, but still, he got up. And the reason for that is Tyson Fury is going backwards. He's riding that right hand as it lands from Deontay Wilder, but a left hook also lands while Tyson Fury is on his way down. The right hand knocked him out and the left hook must have woke him up or something, I don't know. But ultimately, that left hook that Deontay Wilder lands, he's still riding that shot. So, what Tyson Fury has done is not developed more resistance to his chin, but what he has done is learn how to take punches so that they don't cause the same kind of effect. And that's the thing with Anthony Joshua. There's this stigma around him that he cannot take a punch. But how does he go in there with Vladimir Klitschko and take clean punches from him, but still he didn't get knocked out? He got knocked down, yes, but that was mostly through fatigue. So Anthony Joshua can go in there against a heavy puncher like Vladimir Klitschko, stand and trade with him, and still not get knocked out. And here is an interesting stat about Anthony Joshua. He has never been knocked down by someone in the professional ranks that he hasn't knocked down first. He knocked down Vladimir Klitschko in the 5th round, got knocked down himself in the 6th round, then against Andy Ruiz Jr., knocked Ruiz down in the 3rd round, got knocked down himself in that same 3rd round. So, Joshua's never been dropped by someone he hasn't dropped first. And what that tells me above anything else about punch resistance and the stigma around Anthony Joshua that he cannot take a punch, and one punch, and his legs turn to noodles. It's not just about that, it's the fact that Anthony Joshua is inexperienced. If you think about it, drops his man, rushes in too quickly, gets caught himself. That's what happened against Klitschko. Got fatigued, got tired, rushing in, trying to close the show. But the reason why he done that is because he was inexperienced. That was his 19th fight. So earlier on in his career, he hurt his man, rushed after them, the ref either stopped it or he knocked them out. And then against Vladimir Klitschko, he's jumped a huge level and gone to elite level from, I know he was world champion, but he'd fought Dominic Brazil and then he'd fought Charles Martin. Before that, he was at British level against Dillian White. So he was kind of like a high-ranked British level when he fought Vladimir Klitschko, because he was world champion, but that was extremely early on in his career. So he had to learn on the job. And of course, I'm not saying that Anthony Joshua was at British level when he was in there with Klitschko. He was at world level, in fact, elite level in there with Klitschko. But I'm just saying that ultimately, 2 fights before that, he was fighting Dillian Whyte in a British heavyweight title fight. Then he got the opportunity to fight Charles Martin. He's not going to turn that down, so he took that. But I'm just saying the inexperience level, he should not have been in there with Vladimir Klitschko. So it was a huge level that he was jumping. So given that, Anthony Joshua early on in his career, just a mere 2 or 3 fights before Vladimir Klitschko. In fact, the fight before Klitschko, because I think actually he fought Molina as well in between fighting Klitschko. So he had 2 defenses of his world title. So he'd fought in 3 world title fights leading in to that Klitschko fight. And ultimately against those opponents, it was one punch that hurt them. Then they'd either be stopped there and then, or the ref would stop it, or Anthony Joshua would get the stoppage. But against Klitschko, it wasn't that easy. He's experienced. He knows what to do when he comes under fire. So in that 5th round, you could see when Klitschko got up, he was okay. I mean, he was still able to carry on and then go after Anthony Joshua. And that was one thing that AJ never accounted for in that fight, because Klitschko came back and hurt Anthony Joshua and dropped him in the very next round. So AJ had to learn on the job. And I don't think that was down to his punch resistance. It was down to him getting tired, rushing in too quickly. Just inexperience over anything. And the same thing ensued in the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight, because he hurt Andy Ruiz, knocked him down, but rushed in quicker and more ferociously than he did against Klitschko. And he was open to a counter, got caught. The rest is history. But he's never been hurt by someone he hasn't hurt first. And that tells you that it's down to inexperience more so than anything else. So if Anthony Joshua puts those game plans into place, like taking punches, using his positioning and riding shots, like he was against Ruiz in the second fight, then I don't believe Anthony Joshua is going to get hurt like he did against Andy Ruiz Jr. and Klitschko, because he will be able and ready to take those kind of punches. Look at Vladimir Klitschko, knocked out 3 times early on in his career. Then he wasn't dropped for nearly a decade again in the boxing ring. Anthony Joshua was the first one to drop Vladimir Klitschko in years. Yet Klitschko had that same stigma around him, the vulnerability. But he learned how to take punches. He learned how to have that style, leaning back, taking punches, riding them, safety first. That is how he was able to not get knocked out or even hurt over that course of time. And I believe personally that Anthony Joshua has better punch resistance than Vladimir Klitschko. He will stand there and trade with the other fighter. And ultimately, I think that AJ has the ability to also learn as well. So he can be a very good fighter with good punch resistance, as long as he makes sure that he doesn't rush in when he hurts his opponent. And when he gets back in there against Kubrat Pulev on December 12th, he's going to have a tough fight, but something that I believe Anthony Joshua can definitely overcome. It's going to be an entertaining fight. I really do believe that. This will be a fight where you get value for money, in my opinion. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Anthony Joshua is getting ready for Kubrat Pulev in December. Guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.